If we're going to pay for the federal government to do something, the best thing it could be is to round up these socialists.
Let's bring on a friend of the show, Sally Mayweather, better known online as ANCAP Sally, we call him. Libertarian meme lord, one of the sharpest critics of big government. First time on the show. Sally, welcome to the Wake Up America show. Thanks for getting up so early.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the invite. It's good to be on finally.
Yeah, glad to have you here. So 100,000 federal workers, 275,000 overall. What do you call something like this, Sally? A good start?
A good start. I think it's a solid beginning, but there's a lot more work left to be done, and then we just have to get rid of the rest of the parasites, and we'll be in business.
But what about the compromise of principle, Sally? We had to elect Donald Trump for something like this to happen. Shouldn't we have just voted for Chase Oliver of the Libertarian Party? Surely he would have done this.
You know what? Had he become president, I'm confident he probably would have reduced the workforce even more. But then you hear these things about Trump where he goes back and he fires them and he brings a couple of people back and then he goes back and he fires them. And is he getting rid of the 87,000 IRS agents? Is he keeping them on? Who knows what's actually happening? I'll believe it when I see these people line up at the unemployment stand. This is I want to see all these federal employees line up for benefits because they really have no other talents in life, and that's why they wound up working for the government in the first place.
Now, here's the thing. The media, specifically The Guardian, has framed this as Trump engaging in fear and intimidation. They're saying that the workers are being scapegoated here. They're mentioning the $14.8 billion cost of the deferred resignation buyouts. So how do you react to the media who says that there is a cost to losing these federal employees?
Well, first of all, The Guardian is a socialist newsletter, essentially. It is our generation socialist newsletter. It should be dismissed entirely. 14.8 is a small price to pay to get rid of these people. I would pay triple that to get rid of them, frankly. And I think, anything The Guardian says, I just assume the opposite. And that's the same is true of many of these media outlets like the Washington Compost and the New York Slimes.
That's Sally Mayweather. That's how you got to get 1 million followers on X or that kind of rhetoric. All right. Yeah. All right. So Trump says there's no added cost. He says the workers were being paid anyway and that the plan saves $28 billion annually, largest workforce reduction ever. And Russell Vought, he's the guy at the head of the OMB. He says we want them to not want to go to work. We want their funding shut down, put them in trauma. Let's be honest. Even Chase Oliver's people would not have said, we want to traumatize federal workers, Sally.
No, probably not. Fair. Yeah, it is a little Malayish, but, look, it's a good start. And I hope that he goes through the rest of the agencies because it's not just in, the IRS. And it's also, it's at the Fish and Wildlife Commission. It's in these housing and urban development. These three-letter alphabet agencies that nobody thinks about. That's where a lot of this bureaucracy, this malignancy resides. And so, it's a good start. But there's the federal workforce is so bloated. Frankly, it should never even exist. Most of these agencies are unconstitutional, but that's another story.
So one FEMA worker that they interviewed about these cuts said that they were scared daily of their job. One USDA worker said they were living like a raw nerve. Do you think that fear narrative kind of exposes the problem that they see their career as entitlement rather than service?
That's how the rest of us feel because we're forced to pay their salaries. How about the single mothers who can't afford to feed their kids because they're paying for these parasites? How do you think they feel? Who gives a damn if they're living in fear? Get a real job. It's insane to me that these people, they're so entitled that they think that they have a right to these cushy positions that nobody asked them to do.
So the AFGE, this is the group that funds the lawsuits against the federal government, right? Do you think that this kind of like these firings, that it kind of exposes that the bureaucracy really just exists to protect itself instead of serving the public?
Oh, 100%, 100%. It's meant to protect them and at the detriment to the American citizen.
So what's next, Sally? What should Trump do? And after we fire the next 100,000 federal employees, where do you think Trump should focus in terms of cuts when it comes to the federal government?
Obviously, I think some of the biggest problems we have are the military-industrial complex and the warfare state and the welfare state. That's where most of this big government malignancy is coming from. Am I confident that Trump is going to start, going after the Department of War, I guess it's called nowadays? I'm not, but I think that there's much more hope that he's going to go after the welfare state and the welfare programs, which is a wonderful thing. We need to get rid of all of this stuff. So if he can get rid of half of it, I think it's a good start.
Now, what are your thoughts on Donald Trump sending in the feds into places like Portland, where Antifa terrorists are burning down businesses, blocking streets, committing acts of violence on the daily, advocating for socialism and communism, and local mayors, local city council people are doing nothing to protect the lives, the liberty, or the property of their local citizens? Is it the proper role of the federal government to send police in to restore order on American streets, or no?
As a constitutionalist, it is not, but as a anarchist libertarian, it is. It's a sort of nuanced take. If you read Brian McClanahan and you talk about what the Constitution says, the Constitution requires that the federal government get permission from the state legislatures, and if the state legislatures are not in session, they need the governor's permission. And frankly, not following this particular piece of the Constitution has gotten the United States in a lot of trouble before. However, like you just said, the local government isn't doing shit about this, and you can't just let this go on. And I've been a big advocate for a long time of getting rid of these Antifa people. I think they should be rounded up many, many years ago, obviously, because they're sniping people out. So look, if the local government isn't going to step up to the plate as they should, then the best thing, if we're going to pay for the federal government to do something, the best thing it could be is to round up these socialists.
Sally, finally, libertarians with balls. With balls. That's what I've been saying for years. We need libertarians with balls.
Take, though. It is a sort of nuanced take, though, because from the Constitution, ideally, this wouldn't be necessary. Ideally, the state governments would be handling it. Unfortunately, they're not.
Well, I kind of liken it to the KKK, the way that the government cracked down on the terror networks because the local officials were in bed with the KKK. And they were committing acts of terrorism, violence, political intimidation. The federal government sent in the troops and rounded them up and shut them down. And the Antifa, in my mind, is the new KKK. And there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to use those same tools if the local official, in an ideal world, the local officials would be taking care of it. But Sally, you saw during the Summer of Love 2020, was it the Minneapolis Police Department? Not only did they not try and defend themselves and their local citizens, the local cops turned tail and run. They got out of town. They were gone. So in some sense, we sort of need those federal officers to come in and enforce the law on the streets because the local cops don't seem interested in doing it.
I mean, you're not wrong. On the other hand, it's like, the idiots in Minneapolis, they voted for their own city to be destroyed. So go ahead, let them live in their own filth and mire. I think it was Tim Walz's wife who said when she opened up the windows in the morning, she could smell the burning tires from the governor's mansion. Good, go ahead, burn the whole city down because the people in Minneapolis elected these communists, and now they have to deal with the consequences. But it also sort of it bugs me that I in Florida have to pay to protect these people in Minneapolis who voted for this when I've never even been to Minneapolis. Look, it's an American city. Okay, fine, but I'd rather see them go in and start busting doors down and putting these Antifa people in handcuffs. That's the best thing that the federal government can possibly do in a domestic sense right now.
Oh my God, Sally, my brother from another mother. I talk to other libertarians, man, and they don't share this. There's something about the non-aggression principle, I think, that leads to a sort of pacifistic anarchism, Sally, that I just don't identify with. And, call me not a real libertarian, happens to me a million times a day. But it's like so many of the modern libertarian movement does not understand who their enemies are.
I get hit by this from other agorists, and I tell them I don't think there is any sort of contradiction with the non-aggression principle. Socialism is by definition advocacy to commit robbery, right? I'm sorry, let me say it again. Advocacy of socialism is by definition conspiracy to commit robbery. There's no difference. If I said to you, "Hey Austin, me and you are going to go rob the guy down the street and split it," That's conspiracy to commit robbery. We go to jail. But if you're a politician and I say that, then it's political speech, and it's absurd. So no one has the right to be a socialist. There is no right to be a communist, and these people need to be treated as the criminals that they are and put into prisons, or just frankly deported. Send them to Cuba. Send them to North Korea, where they can live happily ever after.
Mongoose, I love it. Mongoose87 says this guy is based AF. Agreed. Click the like button if you're enjoying it. Dadbod Baboon says the non-aggression principle leads to you sitting in the other room while your wife gets railed by her boyfriend. Okay, Dadbod, that's enough. Family show. We're speaking to Sally Mayweather. You can follow Sally over on X at Sally Mayweather. We're talking this morning about Antifa. We're talking about federal workers being fired, and we're talking about the non-aggression principle. Talk to us a little bit about Donald Trump, because I got a lot of flack from my fellow libertarians for voting for Donald Trump. And when my shoe business took a hit from the tariffs, the Occupy Democrats actually grabbed a screen capture from, it was either Chase Oliver or some other member of the Libertarian Party was like, Austin effed around and he found out. Now you're suffering, Austin, because you voted for Trump and your shoes have been tariffed and we're glad your business is being destroyed. Okay, fair enough. I voted for this. I deserve to get the tariffs. I knew that he was going to do it, and now I'm suffering and struggling for that. But I feel like overall that despite all of Trump's flaws, that he kind of is the man for this moment to some extent. In some ways, we kind of deserve Donald Trump, right? It's not this. There's no Reaganism. I mean, it's definitely an upgrade from Bushism, would you say? I mean, what are your thoughts on like bigger picture where we are politically? Sally.
I mean, the sad thing is that you're not wrong. It is an upgrade, but he's not. He's very, very far from perfect. There's a lot of ups going on. Obviously, the tariffs were a disaster. I think he's going to try to lower interest rates, which is a bad move. Obviously, the last thing we need is to print more money. I'm not in favor of all the military adventurism. I wish he had cut back on Ukraine more acutely. I don't think we should be, debt slaves to the Israeli Knesset. But would it be better with Kamala Harris? Of course not. It would be far worse. Would it be better with Joe Biden? Of course not. You'd have some, 20-year-old intern with a nose ring with an auto pen. So it's, it's a give and take. Obviously, it's not the ideal situation, but I think it's better than the alternative is. Lots of room for improvement. I think one of the biggest problems with Trump, is that he's susceptible to the people around him. And I think he's listening to a lot of the guys like Jared Kushner and, last time it was and John Bolton who were, pulling out his earstrings. So I don't know. It's better than the alternative. Far from perfect. Frankly, I've checked out of the whole that we're going to find a political solution to any of this. I just tell people buy as much cryptocurrency as you possibly can, buy gold and silver, buy guns and as much ammo as possible, because you're going to need it.
Now, wait a minute. You said buy as much cryptocurrency as you can. I know that you've been something of a skeptic of anything but Bitcoin, right? Are you you're like a pro Bitcoin and then anti everything else guy?
No. I'm the opposite. So
okay.
Bitcoin is sort of like the Model T of cars, right? And I'm looking for the Teslas of cryptocurrency nowadays.
Oh, okay. Well, what cryptocurrencies do you like, Sally?
I'm a big fan of Zano. Zano and Firo are two of my favorite coins right now. These are privacy coins, which the government can't track, trace, or surveil. They don't know who sent what to who or for how much or when. And I think that's the sort of privacy that we need nowadays. And I think the proof is in the pudding. Zano's done very well. You can tokenize real world assets on these coins. So you could, tokenize a coffee shop, a real world business, and sell instead of shares going through the FINRA and the SEC, you could sell these in an unregulated fashion on the blockchain. I think that's revolutionary. People haven't truly grasped how what a game changer tokenized assets is going to be. So I tell people buy privacy coins. My two favorites are Zano and Firo, and I think everybody should look more into them. They both have Twitter accounts and Telegram channels you can follow and websites. So I'm always talking about them. You can listen to me rant about them Wednesday nights on the Subversive Spectrum. So yeah, check those coins out.
Sally, this has been a great conversation, and I love to keep it short so that I don't monopolize too much of people's time. But I want to give you the opportunity to share anything that you think we may have missed with our conversation this morning, or if you would like to plug something like maybe your X account or whatever project it is that you're working on, you have the floor.
I mean, there's so much we could talk for hours or days with all of the going on in the world nowadays, internationally and domestically, and I can ramble and ramble and ramble, and I can just keep your ear forever. So I won't do that. But
well, I hope you'll come back because these are great conversations, and they need to be had. And we need to talk a little bit about war, because I think I've started to kind of diverge from mainstream American libertarianism on the war thing, and I've really been influenced more by people like Javier Milei and their more realist view of foreign policy, and it's something that I really want to pick your brain about. But we're not going to solve the Israeli-Palestine conflict right now. So can I get you to come back another time soon on the show?
I would
Sally?
love to. Give me a day and time, and I'll be there.
All right, Sally. The audience is going crazy. They love the conversation. They're going to follow you now over on X at Sally Mayweather, and thank you very much for your time. I hope you have a wonderful day, Sal.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. You as well.
There we go. That's Sally Mayweather. Follow Sally on X. Not a woman. Not a woman. It's not a woman. It's a man, baby.